Well, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this, the 12th day of the 12th month of 2022. Well, that's right. Yes, it is 12th of December today and 26 degrees and sunny right here in Brisbane. Well, let's get on with the news. Let's first of all take a look at news in brief.
Accused of making the bomb that blew
Yeah, your baby. Come this way. Can I have a cuddle? I guess during COVID we've been locked up like everyone else in Australia, and it's been nice to show them that there is a world out there rather than just being, you know, in our four walls of our own home.
Where does that go?
After years of COVID disruptions, nurse Megan de Cruz was looking forward to introducing her young family to relatives in New Zealand.
Hey, well done.
She booked flights with Qantas back in August. The price was $3,000 for return flights from Sydney to Auckland in early January.
We saved to be able to go. We were willing to pay that little bit extra. What do you want?
Despite receiving confirmation of the booking on her phone, the fare was never deducted from her credit card. 2 months later, in October, she was told the booking was cancelled.
We haven't had any communication on their end. It's been us calling them and trying to find out what's going on.
Qantas suggested the family rebook the same flight, but by then the cost had more than doubled to around $8,000.
Okay. The prices are just extraordinary. Like, they're just going up and up and up.
Travellers are paying the highest airfares recorded in decades. New data from the Competition and Consumer Commission shows in November the cheapest economy return fares on over 10 routes were more than double what they were back in 2019 before the pandemic. The cost of a return flight from Melbourne to Perth increased by 146% to more than $1,000. Adelaide to the Gold Coast has jumped to nearly $1,000 return, and the cost of a round trip from Uluru to Sydney more than tripled.
Attention, arriving passengers.
I'm flying to Melbourne.
What are you paying?
$600, and I've had to pay another $30 for luggage. It's ridiculous. I mean, you know, they seem to be just charging whatever they want nowadays.
I remember in the days, Melbourne, you could almost go to Melbourne, return Adelaide on a cheap flight, you know, $70, $80 tickets. And now they're about $1,200 return.
More than a year after COVID travel restrictions were lifted, airlines are offering fewer flights than they did before the pandemic. Qantas concedes that's contributing to packed flights and increased demand, but says it needs to keep aircraft in reserve to deal with delays.
Should you pay that much for a lettuce when there aren't many of them? I mean, it is very much about supply and demand. Qantas has some 70% of the market, so basically it can do whatever it wants.
Qantas says Australia isn't the only country experiencing high prices for plane tickets at the moment, as the war in Ukraine impacts global oil prices.
In Qantas's case, our fuel bill will be up $1 billion compared to what it was pre-COVID.
Qantas received over $2 billion in taxpayer money during the pandemic. You've lifted your profit forecast for the December half by $150 million. Why are your customers bearing the brunt of high fares?
The support that Qantas received over the pandemic, a large proportion of that went directly to our people who were not working. So it's not as if Qantas was enriched by the money that it got from the government. We, in fact, our revenue was $25 billion less through COVID as a result of the lockdowns and everything that was happening. We borrowed money, we mortgaged aircraft, we sold land, and we raised money from shareholders just to get through. Now what we're seeing in the recovery, and it's good that we're recovering strongly, because it means if we're profitable, we can reinvest, and that's what's happening.
Things have certainly improved, particularly over the last few months. What we've seen is a lot more staff employed in the baggage handling areas. We've seen more staff employed at the airports to service the passengers that are coming through.
Tony Lucas is the president of the Australian and International Pilots Association and flies for Qantas. He says although things are improving operationally, the higher fares aren't sustainable into the future.
What's driving it though is a lack of capacity and not enough aeroplanes and not enough seats between the various cities at the moment. Qantas is keeping some aircraft in reserve to make up for any significant disruptions they have, but that means that those aircraft are not currently flying around. They're sitting on the ground waiting to be needed.
Aviation's still recovering from COVID. There are structural issues that we have around sick leave, around supply chain. That means we need more resilience, and the way we get that is by reducing capacity.
The ACCC says it will be monitoring airlines and that it would be concerned if the airlines withheld capacity in order to keep airfares high. Aviation analyst Peter Harbison expects fares to come down as that airline capacity gets back to pre-COVID levels.
These are not fares that are sustainable in the long run. And we're already hearing a lot of people this Christmas talking about going by train or going by car, whereas previously they would have flown.
Virgin told 7:30 it expects capacity will be around 100% of pre-COVID levels in December and January.
Flying is the only way for us to see our family, and it's very important for us to still travel.
After 7:30 contacted Qantas about the De Cruises flights to New Zealand, they're now booked on a flight for the same price they would have paid back in August.
They apologised for the inconvenience. You know, this is a really good outcome that we've been able now to go home and visit family and not worry and stress leading up to Christmas.
It's probably going to be, in a lot of ways, another 6 months or so before we really do emerge into a new environment which is going to be relatively stable.
And that definitely is the sign of the time. So, I mean, of course, we are adding to that, traveling in very, very large numbers. Everyone all of a sudden wants to travel. Well, my advice is, unless it's absolutely necessary, please hold off. And you know what the airlines are trying to do is limit capacity. So let's not add to that. Of course, within reason, if people have to go, they have to go. And if you have to go, you have to pay. Well, the simple as that, the economics, that's the... Well, right now, let's have a second go at this top news.
The man accused of making the bomb that blew up Pan Am Flight 103 over Lockerbie in Scotland is in custody in the United States. The Boeing 747 was travelling from London to New York when it exploded in December 1988, killing all 259 people on board and another 11 on the ground, making it the deadliest terrorist attack in Britain. US authorities announced charges against Abu Ajala Masood 2 years ago, alleging he played a key role in the bombing. 3 children have been taken to hospital after a family Christmas fireworks display in Sydney went wrong overnight. The incident happened at a Christmas carols event at Allambie Heights Oval at around 9:30 p.m. An 11-year-old boy, an 8-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy were taken to hospital. 6 other people were treated on the scene for minor injuries. Canberra Liberals leader Elizabeth Lee has written to ACT Attorney General Shane Rattenbury calling for a board of inquiry into allegations raised in relation to the Bruce Lehrmann trial. It comes after a letter was written by the Territory's Chief Prosecutor, Shane Drumgold, to the ACT's Chief Police Officer, calling for an inquiry into political and police conduct during the prosecution. The matter has been referred to Australian Commission for Law Enforcement Integrity, and the ACT government is currently considering whether further investigations are warranted. Bruce Lehrmann has maintained his innocence and there have been no findings against him.
So that's the news in brief. Right now, let's take a look at that incident about that fireworks and what really happened there.
It's appeared that a Roman candle has malfunctioned. And some of those stars have then impacted into the audience. After 2 shots, apparently it then malfunctioned, which means multiple shots, I believe, fired, causing it to then travel into different directions rather than the design direction of projecting into the sky. This product itself is actually manufactured in China. We haven't had a problem with this product in the past, but there has been Roman candles in the past that have malfunctioned. Not that we've had it with this product and this type. Our operator absolutely shut down the controller so that no more fireworks would be discharged, and stopped straight away, and he started his emergency procedures for a malfunctioning product.
Well, there you go. Procedures have been put in place, and the emergency sequence did take place. But this is how new laws and new rules that come in from what the fireworks used to be before. Pretty much open to everyone who is to play. But right now, a man's body has been found in the lagoon in South Australia's flooded Riverland.
Well, Richard, emergency services were called here to Ross Lagoon just after 2 p.m. here. A member of the public had found the body of a man floating in the waters just behind me here. Police say they didn't recover any nearby boat or vehicle. They've blocked off roads just along the lagoon here so police can continue their investigations into what actually occurred. The man's identity isn't known at this point in time, and as you can see, there's been a lot of flooding here in the Riverland. The lagoon behind me has expanded considerably. You can see the water just lapping up against the road here. So there's still a lot of answers the police need to get to. They're calling for any help from the public if they know anything, if they saw or heard anything along the Ross Lagoon recently, to call Crime Stoppers.
Okay, Evelyn Leckie reporting there. And as the River Murray continues to rise, authorities are urging residents to take extra care in and around the water. For many in the community, this is the first time they've seen floodwaters in the region reach these levels.
At Gerard Aboriginal Community, Ranger Lily Charles says a significant gathering place for families to fish, hunt and share stories is now underwater.
It's usually for meetings and that, come down here and have meetings, and now we've got family camping, out of the heat.
Despite this, she says the wildlife has come alive with higher water flows.
Never seen anything like this before. Not this high anyways,
The community was moved to higher ground at Gerard near Renmark in the 1940s from Swan Reach, as the area was prone to flooding. Philip Johnson remembers flooding along the River Murray in the 1970s.
That's underwater?
But this is the first flood he's experiencing with his grandchildren.
Just flushing our system, flushing the river system. That's how we see it. We always seen the floods like that.
He's hoping he doesn't see a repeat of Blackwater events this time round.
We even seen a Murray cod float past us.
In lower-lying areas in Renmark, roads are increasingly becoming overwhelmed by the rising river. 2 weeks ago, locals could just walk over 21st Street. Now they're steering clear of the fast-moving water.
Oh, it's unreal. I don't think you'll see this much water here again in my lifetime.
This major levee is protecting Renmark's hospital and aged care facility. As the water levels rise, it'll test the levee. Council is confident it won't be compromised, but aged care residents are being moved to higher ground within the facility as a precaution. Evelyn Leckie, ABC News, the Riverland.
And always good to take that precaution because, the levies, I'm still not 100% on these levies. Well, right now let's move on, where there's one dead and seriously injured in that car crash in Darwin.
A mangled wreck and another death on NT roads. Police were called to this turn-off on the Stewart Highway near Bachelor just after midday, after a two-vehicle crash ended in tragedy. Traffic was brought to a standstill as emergency services attended to the horrific scene that left one person dead and another seriously injured. An 80-year-old woman airlifted to Royal Darwin Hospital. A spokesperson for St John Ambulance says she had non-life-threatening injuries. Police are yet to confirm the age or sex of the deceased. Major crash detectives are now investigating the circumstances surrounding the crash. It's not yet known if speed was a factor. Motorists were eventually diverted, with police issuing an alert to expect delays and avoid the area. While the Stewart Highway remained open for traffic, police investigators remained on the scene here for hours this afternoon. This will be the 49th fatality on Territory roads this year, a 40% increase on last year's figures. Oliver Chaseling, ABC News.
And that is not even in the Christmas break yet. Of course, around Christmas time, everyone is advised to take extra precaution, especially on the roads, and especially if you're drinking, forget it. Don't even dare to get behind that wheel. Let's try and keep our fatality rates as low as possible, especially around this festive season. Well, the year that was, what were the things that made up this year? Well, rates, Russia, and recession.
Ukraine is a nation at war after Russia launched a full-scale invasion of the former Soviet state.
As heavy fighting continues on the Eastern Front, Russian forces are raining artillery fire on the southern Kherson region.
Russia's invasion of Ukraine on February 24, 2022 not only led to a devastating loss of life, it set the global economy on a path no one saw coming.
That has been clearly very damaging in terms of the supply of raw materials, of fuel, particular oil, and that's just generated substantial inflation and cost of living pressures around the world.
Higher energy bills impacted Australian households and businesses and led to soaring consumer prices.
This is the biggest challenge to central bank inflation targets since the advent of those inflation targets back in the early 1990s.
Inflation reached double digits in the US and UK. We're yet to see the peak in Australia. It's likely to hit about 8% by the end of 2022. Globally, central banks took decisive action.
Most central banks have really been caught out by the pace of the increase of inflation and ended up raising interest rates a lot more than they expected at the start of this year.
The RBA lifted the official cash rate at its fastest pace ever, from near zero in April to 3.1% in December.
The bank will need to do at least another couple of rate rises, so perhaps one in February, one in March.
National property prices began falling in May, with values down 7% to the start of December. While much of 2022 was about numbers that didn't necessarily go in the right direction, they weren't all bad.
You think about what's happened this year, whether it's the invasion of Ukraine, whether it's aggressive interest rate increases from central banks all around the world. GDP growth this year is actually quite remarkable.
The high point for Australia was clearly the reopening of the economy post the COVID restrictions. Once the restrictions were removed, there was a significant upside surprise to consumer spending.
The economy grew by almost 6% in the 12 months to September, while the unemployment rate has hovered near a historic low of 3.5% since the middle of the year.
I think that that's a real testament to the flexibility of the economy and the fact that we were able to bring people into the workforce, more people working, hopefully in jobs that they're enjoying and obviously earning a wage.
As the global economy enters a downturn in 2023, there are a few key themes our experts will be looking for.
If we keep going and spending, it's going to be a lot harder for the central bank to take those demand side pressures out of inflation. And history shows us once you get that embedded, that becomes really challenging, much more difficult for policy to respond to.
I think we're going to see the combination of a tight labour market and government decisions, particularly around the minimum wage being pushed up next year, means that overall wage growth accelerates further towards where the RBA has been expecting, which is closer to 4% than 3%.
I'll be looking out for the impact of the size of the return of migration and the impact that that has on the domestic economy.
I do think it would be possible to get a big enough lift in the unemployment rate such that things felt a bit more recession-like.
A recession these economists and Australians hope to avoid.
Ladies and gentlemen, right now it's time to go to our Daily India Report.
Welcome to the Daily India Report that brings you reports, interviews, features and more on India and the Indian diaspora. Prime Minister Narendra Modi thanked the people of Gujarat for giving his party, the BJP, the biggest ever mandate in the state assembly elections.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led Bharatiya Janata Party recorded its biggest ever win in Gujarat State Assembly elections by securing 156 seats in the 182-member assembly. Congress recorded its worst performance in Gujarat as the Aam Aadmi Party took some of the opposition vote share. Congress finished second with 17 seats, while the AAP, which made its debut with a high decibel campaign, won 5 seats. Independents won 3 seats and the Samajwadi Party picked up 1. Prime Minister Narendra Modi said Gujarat voters positively responded to his request for breaking his record by giving the biggest mandate to the BJP in the state's electoral history. He also said he had promised the people that he will work hard so that Bhupendra can break Narendra's record in a reference to his exhortation for a higher tally for the Bhupendra Patel-led state government during his relentless campaign ahead of the assembly elections. Incumbent Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel is set to return for a second term and take oath on December 12th. In Himachal, Congress dethroned the Saffron Party by winning 40 seats in the 68-member assembly. BJP ranked second, winning 25 seats, followed by independent candidates winning 3 seats. The AAP failed to open its account in the Hill state. Himachal Pradesh has not voted any incumbent government to power since 1985. Congress in Himachal Pradesh is yet to finalize its chief minister candidate and is likely to meet at its Shimla headquarters on December 9th to take the final call. For Congress, a victory in Himachal Pradesh was much needed for a revival of the Congress party, as it has been battered by a spate of electoral losses in the last few years.
After Dimple Yadav's landslide victory in the Mainpuri Lok Sabha by-polls, Shivpal Yadav said the family will contest all future elections together.
Samajwadi Party candidate Dimple Yadav recorded a landslide victory in the Mainpuri Lok Sabha by-polls, defeating her Bharatiya Janata Party rival Raghuraj Singh Shakya by more than 1 lakh votes. Mainpuri Lok Sabha seat became vacant after the demise of late SP patron Mulayam Singh Yadav. Dimple Yadav is the wife of Samajwadi Party President Akhilesh Yadav and daughter-in-law of the late Mulayam Singh Yadav. After the results were out, Pragatisheel Samajwadi Party founder Shivpal Singh Yadav on December 8th said that his family will contest together in all future elections. Shivpal visited his brother and SP patron Mulayam Singh Yadav's memorial in Mainpuri and paid floral tributes to him. Talking to reporters, Shivpal said, "The entire family unitedly contested the by-poll, due to which we are heading for a big victory. In all future elections, the family will remain united and contest together." He said that his Jaswantnagar constituency, which lies in Mainpuri parliamentary constituency, broke the past record when it gave 90,000 votes, leading to Netaji Mulayam Singh Yadav. He said this is the victory of the ideals of Netaji's and development works carried out by him. Shivpal Yadav and his nephew Akhilesh Yadav, who parted ways many times in the past, had buried the hatchet ahead of the by-polls in Mainpuri, Rampur Sadar and Khatoli in Uttar Pradesh.
Universities in the United Kingdom are luring Indian students with bring your family to the country offers, even though the ruling Conservative government is considering curbs on the number of dependents allowed into the UK.
Amidst reports of the immigration situation in the United Kingdom becoming a migraine for the Conservative Party-led government, with net migration numbers rising, universities in the country are paying education agents that recruit Indian students to lure them with an offer which allows them to bring along their families to the country. According to reports, commissions are paid to agents who market graduate visas and help potential Indian students get visas for their spouses and children. A graduate visa, previously known as a post-study visa, gives one permission to stay in the UK for at least 2 years after successfully completing a course in the country. Indians received 41% of the total number of graduate route visas after it was introduced in 2021, according to recent UK immigration statistics. While some agents come up with offers assuring a full-time job for a spouse as well as a 2-year stay in the country, others tell prospective students to hurry, as the UK could soon place restrictions on dependents. While UK ministers are considering curbs on the number of dependents allowed into the UK and restricting foreign students from attending low-quality courses, experts warn that the restrictions will bankrupt UK universities, which depend on foreign students for money. The British High Commission revealed recently that it granted 1.27 lakh student visas to Indians in the year ending September 2022, an increase of 273% over the same period in 2019.
The Tata Group is planning to establish chip production in India within the next few years, which would make India a key supplier on a global scale.
Tata Sons chairman Natarajan Chandrasekaran on December 8 said that India's largest conglomerate would start producing semiconductors in India within the next few years. Chandrasekaran said the production of the chips would make India a key supplier on a global scale. Chandrasekharan said the Tata Group will look into the possibility of eventually launching an upstream chip fabrication platform. He added that the group has already set up Tata Electronics, under which the semiconductor assembly testing business will be set up, and hinted that its potential partners in the project would be from the US, Japan, Taiwan and South Korea. Chandrasekharan, who has shown his interest in the field of semiconductors, also said that the total market size of high-tech manufacturing of electronics is worth about $1 trillion, and the group is keen to explore the opportunities within the sector. The group has already planned to invest $90 billion over the next 5 years.
The Indian Army is set to get a massive boost in its high-terrain combat capabilities as it plans to acquire 354 light tanks. The Indian Army's high-terrain combat ability is set to get a massive boost, with the Indian government about to kickstart an indigenous project for the acquisition of 354 light tanks under Project Zorawar. The mega project was stuck due to differences between the Indian Army and the Defence Research and Development Organisation. Now, with the issue resolved, Project Zorawar is ready to take wings. Of the 354 light tanks, 59 are to be manufactured by the DRDO, while the rest will be produced by a government-funded design and development project in the Make 1 category of the Defence Acquisition Procedure. The Defence Acquisitions Council will take up the grant of AON under Project Zorawar at an estimated cost of 17,500 crores. The Indian Army will deploy these light tanks in the Himalayas, mostly against China. The need for light tanks had been felt by the Indian Army for a while, but their necessity came into focus during the military standoff with China in Ladakh. Indigo has announced 12 daily and 168 weekly flights from the new Goa airport, set to be inaugurated on January 5th next year. India's low-cost airlines Indigo on December 8th announced 12 daily and a total of 168 weekly new flights to and from the soon-to-be inaugurated New Goa International Airport, situated in Mopa, North Goa, from January 5th, 2023. This will be Indigo's largest ever new station launch and will immediately connect New Goa International Airport to 8 cities across India. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will inaugurate Goa's second international airport on December 11th, and the airport will begin operations on January 5th. The airline is introducing these new flights to cater to the growing demand and will improve direct connectivity to North Goa. North Goa is some of the most popular tourist attractions and generally derives more traffic than any other region in the state. From scenic beaches to breathtaking forts and glamorous casinos and nightclubs, Goa certainly has become one of the tourist hubs of India. Tourist destinations like the Basilica of Bom Jesus, Aguada Fort, Anjuna Beach, Club Cabana, Candolim Beach, Goa Safari Adventure and Cafe Mambo's are some of the most well-known attractions that are widely visited by foreign as well as domestic tourists. Residents of Goa will also be able to utilize these new services to fly directly to many large cities across India. IMD has issued a red alert in districts of Tamil Nadu in the wake of Cyclone Mandus. As a deep depression over the southwest and adjoining southwest Bay of Bengal intensifies into a cyclonic storm Mandus, the Indian Meteorological Department has issued an alert for the North Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and South Andhra Pradesh coasts. Cyclone Mandus is likely to intensify on December 9th, and the weather agency issued a red alert in 3 districts of Tamil Nadu. The state capital Chennai is one of the most vulnerable areas that might witness a fierce cyclone. The districts that are on alert include Chengalpattu, Villupuram and Kanchipuram, where 6 National Disaster Response Force teams have been stationed. Under the influence of Cyclone Mandus, several southern states are likely to witness very heavy rains for the next couple of days, IMD said in its latest weather forecast. Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Karaikal may experience light to moderate rainfall in most places, with heavy to very heavy rainfalls at isolated places, whereas Andhra Pradesh and Rayalaseema may witness isolated heavy rainfall over their adjoining areas. Tamil Nadu, Puducherry and Andhra Pradesh are likely to witness very heavy rains on December 10th also. Bollywood couple Ranveer Singh and Deepika Padukone come together once again to match steps on the peppy number Current Laga Re from their film Circus. The hit jodi of Bollywood Ranveer Singh and Deepika Padukone is back on screen, this time for a special dance song Current Laga Re in Ranveer's upcoming film Circus. Deepika did a dance number almost 5 years ago when she performed Ghumar in a period drama Padmavat. The song features the Bollywood jodi grooving to peppy music with the lyrics based on one of Ranveer's dual characters in the film, who is capable of producing electric current.
Current Laga has been composed by Lijo George and DJ Chetas and sung by Nakash Aziz, Dhwani Bhanushali, Jonita Gandhi and Lijo George. Kumar has written the song with Tamil lyrics added by Hari. The Tamil rap portion has been sung by Vivek Hariharan. Deepika was last seen alongside Ranveer in the film 83. She had also co-produced the film which had Ranveer in the role of cricketer Kapil Dev and her as his wife Romi Bhatia. Ranveer's Circus has been directed by Rohit Shetty and also stars Johnny Lever, Varun Sharma, Jacqueline Fernandez, Pooja Hegde, Sanjay Mishra, Ashwini Kalsekar, Mukesh Tiwari and Siddharth Jadhav among several others. The comedy film is set in the 1960s and features Ranveer in a dual role for the film. It is set to release during the Christmas weekend on December 23rd.
That's all for this bulletin of the Daily India Report.
Thank you very much, Ankita, for that update and the Daily India Report. Ladies and gentlemen, that's about all we have time for you today. We will update the functions and events and we'll have that coming back tomorrow. Well, it's been wonderful having your company on this very historic day, the 12th of the 12th of 22. Well, until tomorrow, it's goodbye from us.